All right. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you guys. It is time for RIP. I bet you guys are excited. I love having the ability to come on here and give you guys some good nuggets that are going to make you better. It's intentional. It's consistent. You have something to plug into. Last week, we had Ashley working with Miss Jillian going over carrier nuggets, which was amazing. So I know that you guys got a lot out of that. This week is going to be kind of, working with carriers, but it's basically how to get your business to stick, right? It's one thing to write your business. It's another thing to have your business stick so you can actually see the biggest potential for your income, and then also for your gross report, your net report, and ultimately promotions. We want to be able to do the work, but not have to work extra hard on the back end to actually get the results that we want. And I've got one of the best on this morning, Miss Chuka Houghton. What I love about Chuka is she came, last year, and she just she made 10 grand her first month. She hit the ground running, and she wrote so much business the last half of the year. She wrote probably more than a lot of people did. And a part of that was not only because she was a great student and learning the system, learning the presentation, but then also having that little bit of an analytical mind to understand the back office, to make sure that what she was writing, not only was she writing at a high level, but also able to keep that business. And what we want to do is we want to make it simple for you. We want to make sure that this is not something that is overwhelming. Sometimes we get overwhelmed with tracking. We get overwhelmed with, well, how do I do that? How do I figure out about this carrier and that carrier? And so finding something that is simple that you can plug into that makes it easy for you to track your business. And we try our best to do that for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Chuka. And she's going to give us the nitty gritty, the meat and potatoes on keeping it simple and getting your business to stick. So bear with me as I share this bad boy. One moment. Computer always lags. Okay, here we go. Come on. Circling, here we go. Okay. Here we go. All right, so Chuka, take it away, my dear.
All righty, can you hear me?
I sure can.
All righty, getting your business to stick. Now, I really started this, because I noticed that not only when I was buying leads, I was also noticing that some of my business wasn't sticking, and so I was losing money. And I had to find another way to figure out why and how I was losing money. And as a new agent, you don't really understand it all yet, right? Our priority is to get in the field, learn the presentations and the door approach. And so when you start doing this, just as much as you do your field activity, it'll all start tying in together. So you want to go to the next slide? All right, so these are just the key points and the topics that I feel like are important to getting your business to stick. They are branding, in-home standards and expectations, book of business, carrier follow-ups, back office, red flags and tips, and in-person follow-up due to missed premiums.
Okay. So basically, this is like your process, like from
Correct.
Branding to in-home to following up with your book of business, carrier follow-up, back office, red flags. And so if you're like, okay, guys, it's overwhelming, back office, these are the steps like in your brain that you need to think, okay, well, how can I make it simple? It's these steps right here. Just like you got a 10-step process in the home, these are going to kind of be like your steps afterwards, finishing up in the home and then afterwards. So let's start with branding.
Yeah, so whenever I put this slide together, I put branding as my first sheet, just because a lot of people are like, okay, how is this even a part of getting your business to stick? And this is crucial. This is a part of it, that when you brand, you need to leave value sheets. I've seen a lot of people, that I've rode along with that doesn't leave value sheets. We've, went into homes where clients have no idea what they have when they just bought something because the agent before us didn't leave value sheets. And the last thing that you want to do is never not brand yourself, because you will lose so many clients if they have no idea who you are, how to contact you or what they actually have. You want them and their family to feel comfortable that you are not a scam, especially the houses that we go to all the time. They always talk about, they even will ask us, are you a scam, right? And of course, the answer is no. We show them our license, right? And whatever that we did in their house was the best option for them. And the best way to do that is leaving that paperwork, a brochure, or something physical that they can actually visually look at. Not only them, but their family members as well. Also, brand yourself well, have folders, whether it's your personal folder or carrier folders. You can order folders and brochures from our carriers, and it's completely free. I also like to leave multiple business cards, one for them and two for someone else that will need it. My favorite is probably the magnet business card, because what I do is I will immediately go put it on their refrigerator. So anyone that will ever come into their house will see my name on there. And also, with that being said, I don't wait for them to do it. I do it myself. I will walk up and be like, you know what? I'm going to go put my magnet business card onto your refrigerator. Leave it like that. I take control in that part. And also I'll grab their phone and I'll put my phone number in their contacts. And for me, it's difficult, my first and last name. So I always put Chuka Houghton, life insurance lady. I make it super short, super simple. They know exactly who it is whenever I call. And then I also put their name into my phone as well. And I'll take a picture of them and I'll text it to them.
I love that. Life insurance lady, Chuka Houghton, life insurance lady. They cannot forget you, right?
Right.
Okay. And you take a picture with the client, you said?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to continue to the next one, or you got any more on this slide?
Yeah, the next one, if you don't mind. Thank you. And so I've noticed this. I really started implementing this about a year ago, and I've noticed huge change in having my business stick a little bit better. And it's something so simple that we think about, but maybe just not say it, because maybe, we think it's obvious, but to them, it's not so obvious. And so after branding and everything else, we have to remember, especially when you've built a strong book of business, you have to remember that your time and knowledge and customer service is valuable. And so in doing so, I got tired of chasing clients, right, for a missed premium, especially the first missed premium. That's probably the one that gets missed the most. And so what I started telling them after branding and everything, I use this phrase in every single house. If you've ever rode with me, I say this. I'll just say something like, Miss Johnson, I need you to do two things for me. The first thing is I need you to answer your phone when I call, because it's going to be very important. It's going to be about your life insurance. Can you do that for us? Okay, I always use the word us. And then I'm not waiting for head nods or I'm waiting for a yes. And I'm looking at them in the eyes, this very serious moment. And when they say yes, then I move on to my second thing I need them to do. And I'll say the second thing I need you to do is, for the first draft, I need you to hold that money in there for 4 to 6 business days so your bank can authorize it. After that, there will not be no more delay in drafts. Can you do that for us? Same thing. Waiting for a yes, no head nods, there's no TV, they're not on their phone. This is a serious moment. When they say yes, then I move on, right? And I also tell them as well, hey, look, you have my personal cell phone. This is the phone number that my husband and child calls me on, okay? And I'll probably make a joke like, I'm not that big yet. I don't have a 1-800 number or an extension line, but maybe one day I will be, right? And then we get a good little laugh and we kind of just continue. But I want them to know that, hey, I need you to do these two things. And it's something so silly, but you'll notice that they'll remember it. And I find myself, since setting these standards and expectations to my clients, because I want them to respect my business, right? I don't want them to think I'm going to chase them around for a missed premium or whatever it is, outstanding requirement. I need them to know that, hey, I spent this time with you on information that you requested for, so I need you to answer when I call, at least in a timely manner, because I will do the same. I also write that on their value sheets, letting them know that their first draft will take 4 to 6 business days as an extra reminder.
I love this. This, I think, is the secret sauce right here. This is something that we need to be incorporating into every single one of our presentations if you're not already. Just like we've got standards and expectations for what this job requires of everybody, right? 15 presentations, 3,500 AP, 30 new leads to you a day, if you can do that, right? Those are standards, those are expectations for you to be a well-rounded agent. Same thing here is there are those standards and expectations. I loved how you make it so simple. It's 2 questions. And the way that you present it, I need you to do 2 things. I need you to do 2 things. Why is it that it's so easy for us to say, I need you to go grab your policy, right? I need you to go grab your prescriptions. That's a part of the presentation, but I need you to also do this on making sure that you are tying up your business with a bow. And it goes back to the respect level, right? And when you have to, like, when you look them in the eyeballs, as Ashley would say, right? Look me in my eyeballs, or what Scarlett, she always says, look at me in my face. Look at me in my face, right? You're getting their undivided attention so they can actually retain 2 simple things. I need you to do this, right? And then that 4 to 6 days, I think that is crucial. I used to say, it's kind of like dating, right? When you got that first initial premium, the bank and the carrier, they got to get to know each other, right? That first date can kind of be a little bit awkward. So give it a few days for that premium to hit, right? Because it's a transactional or relationship transaction where the bank and Mutual of Omaha, they are working together to make those premiums come out like they should. But if you don't set the expectation that first initial premium could have, could be a few days, you're setting yourself up for a chargeback. You're setting yourself up for lower placement, right? Because of that first initial premium. 90% of the time, it is going to be that first initial premium that gets you stuck, right? And so if you can really, really hone in on that first initial premium, I mean, your chargebacks will go down, your placement persistency go up. It makes your life so simple, but you have to incorporate a standard and expectation as you wrap up your business. What else did you write down? You are valuable, right? You are valuable. If you have that mentality at the end, like you might go to the door and, hey, I'm valuable, I'm supposed to be here. But if you're trying to be like quick, swift Chris or something, and I'm not talking about your husband, I'm just saying someone that's trying to get out the door, you're going to miss a lot of this. And that was the difference maker for you, writing at such a high level that first year. So anything else that you want to attack on this slide before we go to the next one?
No, that's about it.
Okay. Next up.
Yeah. And so after you've done everything, you're getting ready to leave the house. I personally like to do my book of business. And I got that from my coach, Asia. She's huge on the book of business. And that's something that I've just taken in, is doing the book of business in the house immediately after everything. And so for me, this was crucial because your book of business, if you're not doing it, you're really hurting yourself. And your book of business, especially to build a strong one, there's a difference. Okay. So the book of business should be the priority. It's the heart of your business. It contains all of the policies that you've sold and acquired. In order to grow your book of business, you need to focus on these 3 things. It's selling more policies. To me, number 2 is really important, is retaining the current ones, because you don't want to work harder. You want to work smarter at what you've already acquired, and also acquiring new clients. And, not a lot of people understand why the book of business is so important. There's times when I've, met other people or agents, whether it's not even in this industry, where they don't have a book of business. And if you want to be a successful business owner, you need to have one. It shows your growth. And this is a record of your success. The amount of policies you've sold and the amount of money you've made. Of course, the more policies you have, honestly, all I can really think about is the more money you'll earn, right? And also a strong book of business is built on relationships. That's how you build it. I would say my first year when I was on this, it took me about a year to build a strong book of business. And that means it's super simple, but I've noticed that a lot of people lack on this, and it's answering their phones when their clients call, right? Because they're scared. Oh no, they might want to cancel, or whatever the negative reason is. That's not always the truth. If they're going to cancel, they're going to cancel anyways, with or without your help. And so whenever you answer your phone, you need to answer with a smile on your face because they can feel it. And personally, if you've done all your branding rights and you have their number and their name saved in your phone, you can answer to them by their first name. It makes them feel special. Not only do you need to be respected of your business, but you also need to respect them for doing business with you. It feels good when you can answer the phone and say, "Hey, Laura, how are you? What can I do to help?" Right? Because then I've noticed sometimes on the phone, even not face to face, but they'll kind of be shocked, like, "Oh my gosh, she remembered me," right? Whether this was clients a year from or a year before, or a month or two ago, it makes them feel special and it makes them want to be with you. It's almost like whenever you call and you've been doing business with another business, like whether it's getting your hair done, a restaurant you eat at all the time, they call you by your first name. It feels good.
Oh gosh, Chuka, no wonder you're such a freaking bad ASS. Okay, I won't say the bad word, right? But you are, my gosh. And it's like you set up the standard, you set up the expectation of, hey, listen, I'm the bad mamma jamma that's writing your policy. So you're going to respect me, right? I'm valuable, and you're going to look me in my eyeballs, and you're going to say yes to what I'm asking of you. But then you follow it back up with that you have to, not only do you do that, but you have to earn that respect by answering their phone calls, by smiling, by, making them feel good. Right. And I think that's so crucial, is that respect is about relationship. Right. And you can't expect them to respect you if you don't respect them. Right. And the more they respect you, the more those policies are going to stay on the books. I love what you said. It took you 1 year to actually retain a really good book of business. Some of you guys are so hard on yourselves too. You're in a learning curve. The first year of insurance, you're learning. Even though we have that 90-day learning curve, you're still learning the whole year, right? And it's trial and error and understanding you and what, your pain points are, where you need to grow. And the beautiful thing about the book of business is that you can see it, right? Look at all the green over here, and just having a simple process of green is successful first draft, like that money went through. Okay, that's checked off. Red is canceled. Blue is declined, right? And you can actually see, okay, if I'm getting a lot of declines, am I being a good underwriter, right? Which is really important. The devil is going to be in the details. The devil is in the details. And what I mean by that is that's where you're going to slip up, right? You're going to think that you're doing a great job, but if you're not, intentionally looking at some of these small details, that's where you're going to see issues. That's where you're going to see major chargebacks. That's where you're going to see, well, I'm not making the money that I need to be making. And then you start looking at other areas of like, well, what am I, why is this not working for me? Right. But it's in this right here. It's in these details that we don't want to look at. We're going to find another place to hang our, what's the word? Anyway, my brain's not working, but the devil is in the details. Make sure that you're looking at that. Anything else that you want to add here before we move on to the next slide?
Yeah. So, when I say like building a book of business is built on your relationships, it goes back to your customer service. I like to think my customer service is exceptional. I think it's better than most, and I'm probably biased. It's because I answer my phone. And sometimes, I'll even answer while I'm in a house. Hey, Laura, I'm with someone right now. Can I give you a call back? Right. And they'll say, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Right. And so answer your phone. It goes back to customer service. You need to separate yourself from other agents. And that's how you do it. There's been so many times when I'm sure all of us have sat in homes where they've said, hey, my agent never answers. And sometimes that's a make it or break it. So separate yourself from them and give yourself that exceptional customer service where they just have to come back, even if they are difficult clients, because you answer your phone.
So do you feel like it is a struggle to write at a high level and then be really good at customer service? How do you feel like you make that happen where you don't feel like a chicken with your head cut off trying to write policies, be a good customer service person, being the devil in the details? How do you wear all the hats?
Yeah, I think it's just doing it right then. Don't procrastinate. If you do it right then, yes, it does take a little bit more time. in your day, but at the end of the day, you've answered your phone, you've done your book of business, you've written policies. I mean, things just can't be delayed whenever you're doing your own business. Those are super important to make sure that they're done right then, right there, so then you don't have to go back, because it's super easy to procrastinate into this. And then next thing you know it, everything's going to have a due date. And so when that time it happens, it's too late. You're going to spend the entire day focusing on things that should have been done a couple weeks ago.
Don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. How many of you do procrastinate on calling the carrier or sending in, the cancellation letter, or procrastinating putting in your book of business, and then you get confused, right? And then that's where the problems happen, is when you get confused. All right, carrier follow-up.
Yeah. So before I started getting really good at the back office, what I did in the very beginning until I became a little bit better was, after 48 to 72 hours of carriers, I would call pending new business. Okay. And this would be for any outstanding requirements. And I would do that by looking back at your book of business that you did in the house. Morning times are the best times, because one, you don't want to spend your entire day or take time out of the, afternoon or evening in your field to do this, right? And also, like I said, it has the least wait times. No one wants to wait, really honestly over 30 minutes having to do outstanding requirements. And on top of that is that whenever you do them in the mornings, it makes you get it done right then. Let me see, sorry. I think that's it. I have pregnancy brain fog.
It's okay. Listen, my child is 18 months old. I still have mom brain, pregnancy brain. It has not gone away. So it gets worse with every child. So 48 to 72 hours is when you're going to call the carriers for pending new business for any outstanding requirements. Look back at the BOB to do so. Mornings to do it. Do not delay in getting that done. Okay. And so you're going to go over a few of the top carriers. We've got about 7 or so minutes left to knock this out. The only one that's on here is Rural Neighbors, because you in Alabama do not have Rural Neighbors.
Right. Yes, we don't write.
It's okay. We'll start with Foresters.
Yeah, and also for this too, whenever you start learning how to operate your back office, when you call the carriers, they will actually guide you through this. I personally, wanted to learn from the carriers themselves. Not that I never wanted to learn from you guys, but because if you guys just kept telling me these things, I would just keep calling y'all and asking y'all over and over again. And so when you're on the phone with the carrier, sometimes they're not that nice, right? And they're just telling you, they get impatient, and you're like trying to figure it out. And it'll make you remember it when you do it yourself, when you find the answer yourself and how to search for it. And so just a few things with, I'm not going to go into too much details, as there's like steps in this presentation, but Foresters, we know that we get outstanding requirements with them. They'll either send us an email, and then you have to update that in their back office. And after you've updated that, what I like to do, especially if I'm running for a promotion, I will call the carriers themselves, and I will tell them that I have submitted the outstanding requirements, and they will place it right then and immediately.
Say that one more time.
Once I've done the outstanding requirements in the Foresters back office, I will call Foresters themselves, and they will actually place it immediately.
That is awesome. You guys hear that? And these are things that, as coaches, we can't tell you all these things, but when you call and you actually take ownership with your carriers, right? You'll figure out more information that you can use to leverage when you're in the home and with your business. That's y'all's job to do that. That is y'all's job. So I love that. I love that. So call immediately to place. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. And so the next one is Transamerica. And I've heard many negative things about Transamerica because they're complicated. They have, no one really knows how to navigate their back office. And once you learn to do so, I think it's only complicated because maybe you just haven't learned how to do it yet, but when you do, it makes it super easy. And I put steps on there, and I personally love their back office because it's so simple. It makes sense. And I know some of you guys are like, what in the world, are you sure? And yes, because, we write a lot of Transamerica in Alabama because we don't have Rural Neighbors. for certain health conditions. And so I put in the steps there. It makes it super easy. If you look at that third picture, I love it because you can actually search the policies on when you've submitted the policy itself. And it'll show like everything, all the outstanding requirements from you and your entire downline, and it's super organized.
It's organized. It's just, again, it's that spending the time, you know, even if it's 15 minutes in the morning, right?
Right.
And looking at that pending business, that pending requirement, that way you don't get overwhelmed with having to do it or understanding it later on. Anything else that you want to go over with Transamerica?
Nope. I think that's it with.
All right, we got Moo.
Yeah, so Mutual of Omaha, now they're really good with sending us emails with outstanding requirements. But if you wanted to look back, you know, in their back office, I put the steps down there as well. Very simple. Now they will also print you out like a PDF of all the outstanding requirements and everyone downline as well. It makes it super easy where you can send it out not only to yourself, but maybe people who don't know or have overlooked an email of an outstanding requirements.
Hey, quick question. I do have a question that came into the chat from Transamerica for Transamerica. Is there a way to show all of your policies through Trans, not just pending?
Yes, there is. I'd have to look at it, but yes, there is.
Yeah, I think you just go to enforce, but anyway, okay, go ahead to Mutual of Omaha.
Alrighty. And for the ones who don't know, Transamerica, they do have a second back office. Now that's, you know, this is just the first back office that we're all used to. So that's the one that I typically go with. But they do have a second back office. So if you ever log into it on accident, just know that there is a second back office and it is super easy to understand just as well.
What's the purpose of the second back office?
I think it's more, there's less, it's more things of what we actually need. So for example, you can click, there's like 4 little things you can press, and it's like your e-application, and then it goes into quotes, and then it goes into other things. Whereas if you go to our original back office, there's so many things, it's overwhelming, you know. And who knew that, you know, you'd have to take 4 steps to start an application through Transamerica. Whereas if you're a newer agent, that new back office, all you have to click is e-app. And there you go. There's your application. There's no navigating. It's just there, and it's made pretty simple for people to understand.
Right. Beautiful. Okay. Chris said it shows your BOB, your pending, your decline, and your approved business. Cool. Awesome. Let's see here. Okay, next. Moo continued.
Yeah, it's just, you know, that move continue was just saying, you know, the final steps to getting your reports on your pending requirements, you or your team. And it's pretty simple. Here's to the right, the picture of it. It's just a PDF form of everything. I love it, especially if you maybe miss an email, get a lot of emails. It just kind of keeps you updated with you and everyone else.
Beautiful. All right, Aetna.
Aetna, same thing, you know, I put the pictures there as well. We don't really get much pending requirements from Aetna. I think what we get the most from them is whenever you don't have an underwriting immediately approved right then. And instead of calling, this is how I check to see if it's been approved for whatever rating that they've approved it on.
Okay. And you're saying that you've just called your carriers in your free time and you've learned to understand how the back office works.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say free time because I don't think any time of our time is ever free, because in the morning time it's work time. And so you just have to be able to what's the word I'm thinking of, Laura? You just have to think.
Brain, that's the word I'm thinking of.
You just like separate your time. You know, you have to know when it's field hours. You have to know when it's time to do back office. You have to know when it's time to, you know, speak to, I guess, you know, to have other downtime as well. And, you know, the back office.
It's the time blocking that we preach over and over and over again. It's just if someone implements learning it, if they really want to learn it, right? It comes back to, do I want to learn this? Do I not want to learn this? Do I want to time block it? Or am I going to make excuses not to time block, understanding 4 or 5 carriers? Right.
And super easy. I mean, sometimes you can just be like, hey, can you show me how to do it to the carriers? And they'll tell you, and you'll never forget it after that one time.
Yes. Cool. All right. Notifications.
Yeah, and so I like personally to have notifications for all the carriers that will allow it. This was just an example of how to turn on Aetna notifications because in the very beginning I wasn't getting them. And so this was just kind of showing you how to turn on your Aetna notifications.
Okay. So there's things in here that some of the carriers are not going to tell you unless you ask, or if you dig a little bit deeper. I didn't even know that. So good. Cool. Some of y'all are smarter than I am, which probably all of you are, but it's okay. Okay. Any red flags, tips? What you got? for
Yeah.
us?
So the red flags and tips, I put this down because without even checking your back office or having to call carriers, if you understand how the carriers pay, then you will understand if you've missed a first premium draft or have any outstanding requirements. Also, by reviewing your book of business at the end of each week to make sure premiums are drafted successfully. We all know that most of our clients are on Social Security billing. So so you should be getting in the first 2 weeks the most deposits due to our clientele. And then also a tip, to help you stay updated with that is having notifications. Typically from the first 2 weeks, we have the most drafts due to our clientele. I'll be on Social Security. And you should be getting emails, right, from our carriers if anything's been missed, if you need to get them back on the books. And also, I've also noticed that people, whenever they get commission statements, right, they only look at it if it's negative. And you need to look at it when it's positive as well, when you are going to get deposit, because you don't want anything to, be canceled, but your commission was big enough to take.
Time. Say that one more time. Repeat that.
Which part? Sorry.
About the negative.
Yeah. So I've noticed that whenever people get a negative commission, they will only look at their commission statement. And so even if I don't have a commission, whether it says $0 or it's positive commission statement, I will look into it because sometimes our commission that's coming in will be big enough to take care of our negative commission. And that's how another way, just a tip without you having to call carriers or even look at back office really to tell if you've missed any kind of premiums or anyone canceled on you that you overlooked.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
That's it for that one.
Okay, so we got the red flags, tips. Now it's follow up with clients.
Yeah, so follow up with clients. So this is, I've kind of broken up into two follow-ups. So the first one is if you missed the first premium, which is pretty common because, like I said, people have to hold that money in there for 4 to 6 business days. Sometimes that is hard for our clients because, like I said, they like to take all their money out the next day after they get their money and their bills are through and they forget about you. But you just have to remind them to hold that money in there. And when it does happen, I like to call the clients immediately and I'll tell them, hey, your policy didn't go through due to this reason. I always find out the reason because I don't want to say due to insufficient funds and it wasn't insufficient funds. Okay. And it was due to maybe accounting or routing number that was mistaken on my end because I don't ever want them to feel like, oh, I'm just assuming it's insufficient funds, right? So you find out the reason, you call them and see if you can get it redrafted ASAP. If you cannot, that's perfectly fine because you can actually set out for the next month or their next Social Security billing date, and you just have to remind them. And then I personally like to put a reminder for myself to let them know, hey, time closer, give them a call, make it a little bit more personable and tell them, hey, don't forget to hold that money in there for 4 to 6 business days. After the first premium, typically you don't really have that many issues anymore. But if you do down the line, I like to also call the carrier, same thing. And I like to find out why it was missed. And then I personally right there, because not that I don't trust my clients, but I trust myself in taking care of things. I will 3-way the carrier and I will say, hey, we need to tell them that you need to redraft. And if they say yes, we're continuing. If I cannot get a hold of them, I will show up to their house, typically that week or that day, if I'm in the area, and we will call the carriers to make sure that that draft is successful because they need to speak to the clients.
Girl, you are just amazing too. And it's just having this can-do attitude, this offensive, it's going to help you so much with chargebacks too. And if you have this mentality with your book of business, with following up on your back office, you will see less chargebacks, right? You think you see less chargebacks because you're so offensive versus being on the defensive. You have to. It's just shifting your mindset just a little bit, a little bit every day, learning something new about it every day that's going to help you I mean, I think that's crucial. Anything else with following up with clients?
That's about it.
Any last minute tips or words of encouragement that you can leave? We're at 9:35, so we want to respect their time, but last minute words of encouragement, last little tip maybe with
Yeah.
keeping the chargebacks down potentially.
Yeah. I mean, you just,
Lingering, not lingering.
yeah, just be aware of that. We are going to get chargebacks, but if you take care of them and not procrastinate, they will be taken care of. And all of this is, it is overwhelming when you're first starting out, and you're learning so many new things. But if you start doing it, the more times you do it every single morning, the easier it gets, the less you have. So I guess my tip is don't procrastinate.
That's the theme of today, right? Don't procrastinate, right? So thank you so much, Chuka. I will put this in the WhatsApp, the NASB leaders chat as well. That way you guys have it. And I just wanted to go back here just to remind you guys to keep it simple is the process, right? The process. Make sure you're good at branding. Have your in-home standards and expectations. Incorporate those 2 questions and look me in my eyeballs, right? Your carrier follow-up, knowing that book of business, taking the time with your back office, know the red flags, and then the in-person follow-up when it comes to that first premium, making sure that first premium is a priority in your business. I think if you can follow these steps, and this is kind of where, if you feel overwhelmed or if you feel like something's going haywire, just look at these things. Where can I improve in these couple of areas to help with my back office, to help with my business to stick better? Thank you so much, Chuka. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Have that baby.
Bye.
Bye.